They say I'm doing it. So that's what they say. So let's prepare to sit. And these teachings, just so people who care about this kind of stuff know, his primary teachings came out of two texts. The Anapanasati Sutta, breath awareness practice sutta. That's the one I'm going to do first. Anapanasati Sutta. You don't care. It's just pretty to say, isn't it? It's just pretty. Just think of that. La 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 Sutta. Right? This is la la la. It's so lovely. And the Satipatthana Sutta, which we have studied extensively, and I will move into that teaching. But if we don't first make contact with the aliveness of the breath, the beauty of the breath, the joy, would say Thai, of the breath, just the ease of the movement of the breath, there is no other place to go, right? Just you can't go there. So we're going to begin as he would here. Finding that comfortable, alert, and supported posture. And calling Thai to mind. And as he would say, and then we breathe a smile. Both at his goodness, the goodness of our own beings. As we remember that Buddha nature, that Christ nature, that Muhammad, Allah, David nature in us all. And with that ease, with that joy, with that remembering of one's inherent goodness, no matter what else has happened, really, causes and conditions, it's not really the point of who we are. We begin to make contact with the sense of the breath moving in and out of the body, remembering the gift. The gift of this precious human life, the gift of being of benefit. And the reality that your happiness, your smile, your goodness naturally grows and expands that for others. Your very happiness is your greatest gift. And then see where you find the breath of that. Mindful of the breath. Breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. See if you can make contact with that in-breath, with that smile, with that joy. Breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. And breathing out, I know that I am breathing out. In, out. There is no special in-breath or out-breath. We enjoy whichever breath is present here. See if you can let go a little bit just to ride the wave of the breath, feeling the very sensations of uplift and release. In, out. And be sure to let your face, your mouth, in the contact with the joy of the breath, smile. It's not a forced smile. It's one that comes out of the contact with the truth. We breathe in not only the breath, but the whole of life as it is present and alive this moment. And in this present moment, we are happy. We are easeful. we are awake. And as we are making joyful contact with the breath, we begin to see its finer qualities. This will happen naturally. And will make us smile. Breathing in long. I know that I am breathing in long. Breathing out deep. I know that I'm breathing out deep. And I smile at the recognition, knowing the in-breath as long, knowing the out-breath as deep. Long. Deep. Knowing long as long and deep as deep. I smile. And then feeling the sense of the whole body breathing. Breathing in, I am alive. Breathing out, I am peaceful. Alive and peaceful. Breathing in, I am aware of the arrival of the breath. I rest in the present moment. I am awake. And breathing out, I rest in the passing of the breath. I am compassionate. wakeful, compassionate. I smile. Breathing in, I take refuge in the lap of the Buddha. No one awakened, but all those awakened ones. Breathing out, I rest. Breathing in, I breathe in, remembering my own Buddha nature. Breathing out, I am joyful. Buddha breath, rejoicing. And then we let go of that Buddha breath, simply to rest in our Buddha nature. The breath falls away to that physical felt sense, that knowing. Of the boundlessness of our own awakened heart minds. The light of awareness shines on the leaves, on the trees, on the flowers, and on each of us. We smile and have ease and are happy. Resting in our own radiant Buddha nature. Breathing in, I touch the present moment. Breathing out, I smile. Present moment, wonderful moment. So thank you, Ty. So for many of you, I don't know who knows that practice, those practices or not, but I'd love to just start by checking in and seeing how that is, how that was for you, how this simple making contact with the breath, resting in the truth of the breath, seeing that the breath invites us, doesn't it perfectly, to the present moment, and that in that presence, in that contact, in that aliveness, we smile. And then whatever the conditions that are there, we attend, right? Whatever is happening. When I was watching the monks this morning early at Deer Park, they did a little live ceremony for him. And, you know, this is somebody they have devoted, most of them, their entire lifetimes to. And I was like, well, this is going to be interesting, you know, to see the felt sense. And they were just beaming, smiling, radiant, beaming, right? Beaming. Good morning, dear. He's going to go around.
No way yet.
Yeah, he's like, nope, not that. And so how does that happen? How does that beaming, radiant? Nothing.
Yeah, well, it was funny because I was just thinking something similar when I got texts from my cohort, you know, in this counseling psych program, and hey, how are you?
Yes,
Thank
please.
you, dear. 8 of those. I'm
And,
sorry, we're interrupting Anthony.
no, it's okay. It's okay. So, you know, I go to Pacifica, which is a pretty, like, you know, spiritual place, I guess. And
Certainly devoted to one's spiritual
yeah,
development as
Exactly.
much as to one's intellectual.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They cover that component of psychology, which I really appreciate. And so I wasn't surprised. I was actually really pleased when I got that group text like about THICH last night. In fact, that was how I first heard about it.
Yes.
And I bring this up because, you know, a lot of the responses, as well as that first message, yeah, they all had like the crying face emojis or the sad face emojis or whatever. And it dawned on me that that's just kind of what we default to. That's kind of what we default to when, you know, when someone passes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like a heartfelt kind of appreciation for the loss of all of those still remaining in this mortal plane. But, you know, I almost had to hold myself back from, like, you know, texting just like the party face emoji or something.
Yes,
You know?
exactly right.
Yeah.
Ty would definitely have put the party face. The
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
Yes.
And it was for that very reason. It was just like, you know, I really appreciate that meditation because just, you know, the smile and just that transcendent state of bliss is kind of, you know, what he really seemed to center a lot of his practices around. And when I heard that news, I was like, look, like there, like now he's that.
Yes.
Like he's literally become that.
Yes.
So
Continuation.
yes.
Pete wrote me this morning because he couldn't be here. And of course, Pete was with us for several of those experiences at Deer Park. And I remember Pete, I'm going to tell a story about you, Pete. I remember Pete sitting with me through, you know, really one of those beautiful teachings and looking at me and kind of going like, you know, like, I don't know, this is kind of simple, right? just a lot of joy and a lot of happy. It feels a little artificial or a little, right? And if you first had that experience, you might have that because there really is a lot of the release, I'll call it, which is where I think that happiness comes. The release in a monastic is really amazing to see, like attached to nothing, gripped by nothing, just right, smiling. And so you could get a sense of it like this a little much, right? Like really everywhere about everything, and a little flower growing up into the sun, you know, yeah, I don't know. That's because we don't know that very well, do we? We lose contact with that little flower growing and the infinite joy of that. Don't we? We lose it because what? We've got muddled mind, chattering mind, tasking lists, right? And so then there's really, it's very difficult to make contact, I think, with the truth of that, the joy of just presence, right? And I was hoping that you could feel that when all that falls away, the stuff, the gotta, the being, the gotta do it a certain way, the gotta look a certain way, right? That what really there is only, I think it's true, is then that smile.
And it doesn't mean that the aspects don't have time,
Suffering,
you know, suffering.
suffering,
But in
right?
practices, they rejoice and focus on.
That's right.
present moment.
That's right. And, you know, we know from all of the beautiful teachings, and of course, there's in every spiritual tradition, right? It's not in one. What do we see? We see the truth of suffering and the truth of its end. And it doesn't mean that there's not an unpleasant moment, right? It doesn't mean there's not a difficult situation. It doesn't mean I know what to do or it's easy to cultivate that quality, but what's also true, I can still be joyful at that possibility, because this is how we use every moment then as the teaching. And don't I, yes, I do, look at if I'm suffering, how am I contributing to that? What am I doing? There is loss and death and aging and illness, but by itself, it is not the problem. No, 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 it is not the problem. It is aging, illness, death, loss, grief, sorrow, distress, fear, right? It's all true. They're not pleasant, but that's not the suffering. That's just life. Where's the suffering? We have to remind ourselves in the grip, it shouldn't be this way. It should be this other way. I've spent my entire marriage going, if only you could be a practitioner. Boy, wouldn't I be incredible? If only you, right? It's crazy, isn't it? There's nothing more for someone else to do, what's my attachment to that? What's my need for that? What's my wanting about that? And also, what's my not wanting that? Right? And then where do we notice? We're doing that everywhere, aren't we? There's the suffering. So the Buddha had 2 sentences. I love this. 2 sentences that he summed up the entire one's practice and one's life. 2 sentences. Do you know what it is? As long as we are seeking the pleasant, here we go. And as long as we are rejecting the unpleasant, we can never be free. That's it. Kind of last words. As long as we are gripping, wanting, seeking, chasing, demanding, begging, pleading, hoping, whatever verb, we could stick almost half of them there, couldn't we? That's half of our verbiage. What's the other half? Not liking, not wanting, not see, getting away, getting from, escaping. It's the other thing. As while we are there in that form, we can never be free. And then we can't smile. And then we can't be joyful. But in the very seeing, right? In the very seeing, freedom. Go, wow, there I was wanting it to be some other way. Oh, there I was hoping he would never die. Oh, there I was. Right. And then we notice what? The truth of suffering. And it's guaranteed. We called that tanha on Tuesday for those who were there, right? That grip, that wanting, reactive, energetic nature, hunger, thirst, craving, right? And it says it's not the cake that's the problem, right? You can enjoy cake. It's not the relationship. You can enjoy that. Look at this beautiful day. There's, right? It doesn't mean you can't be in joy. This was his primary teaching, that there is joy in the recognition, seeing the wanting, craving mind and just letting it be, not pursuit, not chasing, not, so there it is. Right?
You know, one of his main, I think, teachings was that was compassionate action and
Really, truly embodied.
truly embodied compassionate action. Yeah. And you know, I really take that part. I'm not anywhere close to what he did. I mean, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a real sense of fact that teaching will go on. You know, his teachings will continue.
It's already in you,
It's in me. It's
isn't
in
it?
all of
It's
us.
in all of us. We
Yeah.
were there. We were going like, right there. That is that engaged, really practice, not something on a cushion, not something back there, not something in a prayer at night that we just say, no chanting, no, doesn't mean they didn't do it. It was just as a reminder for ways of living, ways of being.
But he was
That's
so
right.
simple in his
So
message.
simple.
And I was listening this morning too. He was talking about no death, no life. And he was using the analogy of a piece of paper and bringing in how the paper came from the cloud and it came from the sun and it came from the earth. And when it goes, it's still everything there.
All the elements.
are still there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I think of it.
Yes. Wouldn't it be great if we could think of us that way too? Wouldn't it to remember that constellation is in its continued ever-present experience and reality, whatever that is, that I certainly do not know. I have no idea. I just know every day I wake up, I know that there's something new there too.
Well, I think,
It's
you know,
not the old, is it? It's not the same. It's not the Diana from the minute before, the day before, the year before.
we know it in a conceptual. I mean, I can think of, you know, I'm Stardust. And,
Yep.
You know, you're Stardust. And it became. But when he's talking about it, it's not just a concept. It's simple, but it's very deep.
Very.
And you know what struck me, it's interesting when we were with Ty, is also to what your point is, right, is the simpleness. I remember the walking that, and it was now where it's just walking, it's just a step. And I remember feeling like, you know, I walk just one step in front of another, everybody's in the front and everyone's following. At the beginning, there was something in me that it's like, I don't get this. But then after this, it's all this step. And it took me a bit to just fall in line or just be in the present moment. That one step coming after another. There was no speaking. It was just.
Yes, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It wasn't it
Stopping.
the
You
stopping.
just all of a sudden, you know, you're in this big track with everybody just kind of walking and looking. And then you're like, oh, we're stopping. Oh, yeah, okay. Because you're just looking and admiring and being in that space of just peace.
There had to be 1,000 people there one of the times. We walked for about 45 minutes. Do you remember this?
Yes, up to that top area.
Yes.
Yep.
And there was all of this, we'll call it the weight of beings behind him, right? He was in the front holding the hands of 2 young children, remember, and walking with the children who he had invited to come up. And there wasn't one felt sense of pressure or demand from back. All of these people waiting for a step. And you could tell, no, just right here, just this, and then the next. And it was like a wave. I don't know if you felt that, but like this, that sense of just presence in the step right through that group. Until we felt like one. Did anybody feel that? Didn't you? It was like one big step.
Yeah,
that-
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I had to jump in when you said that. I kept wanting to find a space to say that. I
Isn't
stopped feeling like I was walking, or even we was walking.
Yes,
It was walking.
it was just
It was just-
walking happening.
Yes, it was amazing and amazing.
It really truly was. And again, transmitted, this embodied, transmitted through every single one of those people, and you felt it. There was no, I wouldn't have imagined that. I couldn't have hoped for that. I'm a formal meditation walker. I've done it for 1,000 years. I'm pretty prepared to do my formal meditation. Oh no, just walking. Just walking. Lisa, thank you for reminding me of that as well, because it was truly. And don't we feel that then, now? Don't you feel that during the practice, especially when we get to be together? Right? You can feel that no longer my thoughts, no longer my mind, no longer my awareness, no longer my breath, just breath, breathing. Right? Smile it's all of our smile, really, also. And that's the truth of that, the reality of that interbeing. That was a word that he actually came up with. That was Ty's word. He was the first to use the word interbeing, meaning interconnected in that complete embodied way, and that everything was a part of that. And he, more than anyone, I have to say, that I have ever been with, embodied the truth of that. And that deep ecology movement. He was there 50 years ago when we weren't clear yet that the earth, we were killing not only ourselves, but the earth. He was there saying we have got to treat the earth with kindness, and we have to begin here with ourselves. Other thoughts or memories about this? I love this sharing. Carrie, I know you were there. Do you have any recollections of this? I think this is a beautiful way for
Yeah.
us to honor Ty.
Yeah, I just remember all of us walking up that hill, and just what Tay was always really impressed by community and the Sangha, and I felt that day as well. Not just our Sangha, but the whole Sangha of being, at Deer Park.
Yes. Who was
There's a really good article in
the new?
Tricycle.
Oh, is it
Yeah.
on him?
On his importance of community and Sangha.
Yes, how essential he really was. Does anybody remember the nuns coming up and holding our arms?
Mhm.
Did that happen for anyone?
Yep.
The nuns were holding each other's arms as they were walking for a time. This is not very industrial American behavior, like, right? So they're walking arm in arm, or really in a embrace, right, of some kind. And I'm watchful of this, but I don't know how to do this. And someone comes up and puts their arm in my arm, and we walk the rest of the way together like that. That was what they understood Sangha to be. Like, if you look a little wobbly or a little uncertain, I'll be there. I'll be there. Right. And it was really quite beautiful. Is there anybody else there? Thank you, Carrie, who was with us for any of those moments?
Yeah, this is Adrienne, and I was going to say the same thing, Diana, that about the nuns that came up and just literally embraced, because there were moments we were just standing and kind of looking around and enjoying, and the comfort that they brought and the inclusion really resonated.
That's right. You remember that. I think we were walking together, Adrienne, weren't we?
We were. Mhm.
Yes. What a beautiful memory.
Yeah.
What a beautiful memory of that walking together. I see some people responding. I want to make sure to check in. Thank you for that memory also, because it was really quite precious as I'm recollecting that. Dennis says, my breath always refreshes my soul with reminders my life matters. Yes. Leanne, the physical expression of a smile seems to connect to joy on an emotional, yes, very physical level. Finding not much joy lately, this was really helpful. Yes, when we are not able to make contact with the beauty, the preciousness, the joy of the moment, they call that mouth yoga. Has anybody heard that? Mouth yoga. And actually the neuroscience says, right, Anthony knows this a little bit too, I think, that actually that actual smile, even when it feels a little constructed, actually communicates with the brain and the whole of the body, and actually begins to produce a whole other set of neurochemicals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it brings a whole new meaning to fake it till you make it.
Doesn't it? I've actually resisted that a lot in
Yeah.
my practice life. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like smile anyway.
Yeah.
Well, the neuroscience, by the way, says, well, there is something to it, that you're actually releasing a whole set of facial muscles, and you're communicating with nerve endings. I don't want to get too technical about this, but that you're actually then communicating with the brain that goes, oh, no alarm, no distress, and begins to actually communicate with the whole body. Isn't that amazing? So mouth yoga, I think Ty actually called it that. I actually know that a friend of mine, Bianca Noel, does laughing yoga with a similar, anybody ever heard of that? A
Yeah.
fairly similar thing, except you actually, somebody just starts laughing. Now, I think that's somewhat, making contact with something, not so ha, ha, ha. But really, it doesn't take too many minutes or breaths before you cannot help yourself. You're laughing. And so that was a part of that. Remember the joy, make contact with that in some way, embody it then, right? Be watchful of the negative biased mind that runs off into, yeah, but. Who did that? Yes, we do. Yeah, but mind. I could smile, but what about that? What about that? What about that? Really? Shivam says, in reference to Ty's passing and all people passing, I feel both live together in me. Yes, live together. Yes, for sure. Both the sadness of the physical presence. Yes. And that's just the grief, the sorrow, the reality of that. No longer here, and the joy of the person's presence. That's right. Joy and sadness exist together for me simultaneously. Yes, of course, can't they? All things included is right. Dennis, being in the self-realization garden yesterday was very refreshing, walking quietly. Yes, That's something I would encourage us to all do every day. I don't think when you get to go to the gardens, that's gorgeous, right? It's amazing when you get to go to the beach, but then you just get to walk right here in your yard, on your street, right? Because that's amazing also. And we frequently deaden, I think often, to the beauty that's right here. And yes, it's important that we all do it. I could feel every single lay person and monk, all of us together, yes, as one Sangha now in this moment. Yes, it was really, is true, not just then. Joining arms to lift each other up is a wonderful analogy, isn't it true? Thank you all for sharing. Thank you, Jan. He was the first in regards to self-compassion because he, of course, said, and it, again, he lived it, which so profound, is that your happiness is your greatest gift to the happiness of the world. That your well-being was the greatest gift to the well-being of the world, right? And that your self-compassion was your greatest gift to compassion for the world. And it's true, isn't it? There's nothing more you could possibly do ever than that, being that.
With
Right.
that, you just have to pass it.
Don't you? There's just, it isn't even an effort. It's effortless now. In my wholeness, in my ease, right? In my peace, in my joy, what better way to contribute to another's?
And what struck me also being there and just listening to his lectures is the way he embraced children. They were the ones he had all come up to the front. The songs, the songs were available to everybody, and to start at such young ages to be able to nourish that. I remember thinking, I wish I had that for my kids.
Yes, yes,
But I love the lesson in that.
yes.
It's
The simplicity, the joy, the wonder. Leslie, I don't know if anybody could hear Cindy, but this really will resonate with, I know, Leslie too. Cindy was just talking about Ty's embracing of children in particular, and the gathering of the children. He always placed them around him, and really spoke to them, right, in the teachings. Like, if you're going to get this, we all get this. And if you're not going to get this, none of us is going to get this. Really. Look at how often we separate out children in our culture. Like, you're too loud, you're going to move around too much, you're going to be disruptive, you're going to, right? Look what we do in classrooms and in, right, this kind of forced be in a way that he certainly, and of course, we were often sitting near them because we were grabbing the good seats. So hilarious to me now. Like, get up in front. Nothing like greed and in its get up in front. And we would see the children, and they were doing all the things children do, right? Scratching, itching, picking at their pants, fighting with each other. No problem. No problem. Just children then being children. And I think he extended that to us. Don't you? I think he extended that. Like, yeah, sure.
There they are again.
There they
Get
are
the good
again.
seats.
Trying to get the good seats. Knocking everybody out of the way.
I remember the carpools when we go up there, the times that we went, because I only went a couple of times, and I think I was pretty new to the Shanga, and getting there, and it was just like a little kid. It was just like, okay, the excitement is like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, oh my
Yes.
gosh. And then
Yes.
being in the car with whomever we were with, however we were divided up that way or something, and just getting up there and just the drive being like,
So exciting.
oh, and just looking out the window and then getting to Deer Park, and
Driving up the
going
mountain.
the sides and the parking, and it's still dark out, and you're just walking up there to go into this room, and you're
Yes.
just getting up there like,
Yes.
Oh. okay, and just kind of just following whoever I'm following to get in there, like, oh my
Yes, the drive up the
it
mountain.
was just so magical
Mm.
and so beautiful. And then just the sitting, the meditations, and then all of a sudden you open your eyes and the sun's rising. And it's just this, it's like the only words I can even say, it's just such a magical time.
Mhm,
And the walking of the mountain with people,
mhm,
and just the entire experience, you're just like,
mhm.
am I really here? Is this really happening? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it really truly was. I don't know. There are two other memories that came to mind that we'll share, only because I want the Sangha to know of our experience. This is your experience too, because that's living in all of us, these experiences with Chai. That drive up the mountain, the day, of course, that was our final time actually with him.
Yeah.
Was he never returned
Right.
after that. I don't know if anybody remembers the drive back down. The cars were lined up on each side of this road with this very, narrow path down. And you could feel that as well, like all of these people committing themselves to this being here. And again, the Sangha then beyond any group in the room, or went all the way down the mountain, really, these cars and these people walking, then even down to their cars, and a feeling of that continuation, really beyond the hall, beyond the grounds, beyond the body, beyond the person, and how that impacted me. And then does anybody remember our working at Deer Park to build the nunnery?
Never forget.
The nunnery.
The
What do you
nunnery.
What do you remember about building the nunnery?
I remember, you know what I remember was interesting is that for me was that going in there and we knew we were going to help build this dorm, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Right.
No clue what we were going to do, no clue how we were going to do it. And then we get there and they say, we're going to put bales of hay inside of these walls. We're going to show you how to splay a bale of hay. I mean, and so it was like every single thing was an act of, I don't know, but okay.
Yes.
I don't know, but okay.
Yes.
So that was one thing that struck me about it. The other thing was it was so beautiful, was every hour. You know, we would be so industrious. Everyone would just be so focused on, you know, cutting these bales of hay and putting them into the walls. And we were like this, you know, it was just a beautiful, everyone was so coordinated and connected, and it was wonderful. It was like one big movement or series of movements that kind of all blended together. But
Yes.
every hour, every hour, the bell would go off and everyone would stop
Yes.
and just pause and just breathe. And you could hear the silence. And then we go back to display, you know, to put in the bales of hay on the wall. But it was amazing how on the one hand it was so flowing and industrious, and then the pause.
Like little bees.
Yes,
we were very busy.
Very busy little bees, but then very pausing little bees. It was just beautiful.
Very still. That's
and
right.
Just and graceful. I think I was so struck by the grace at which they did that. It wasn't a jerky sort of a pause. It was just a flowing pause. It was
Yes.
It was like being part of a dance almost.
Mhm. Yes, it was true. And I suppose is true, isn't it? Other memories, I remember us taking a picture sitting on a bunch of bales with somebody holding I don't know if that was a pitchfork or what. I remember Jim in that picture and all of us. And I think a couple of the nuns even got in to a picture or two with us. And does anybody remember that they made a Vietnamese meal?
Yeah, we had some meals.
We ate some meals with them. all of that, for those who stayed for lunch, it was always amazing, and always, usually prepared. And does anybody remember us walking our food, Donna, up to the kitchen? And gifting the food that we brought to the nuns and brothers there, and finding our way, learning how to navigate. So I'm going to tell one final story about this, and then we'll sit for another moment. So the very first time I went to Deer Park, I did not go with the Sangha. I went alone. And I thought I should do that before we went so that I could be contributing to us not violating their space in any way, or and in fact, I believe I went with a friend, Steve Alper, at that time. And so Steve goes off to the bathroom or something. They had just built the meditation hall. We'll have to go because it's truly amazing.
Yes.
Right, we've got to set a time.
I think you're right.
Don't we? And February was our first time. So we'll make that a 10-year reunion to go back there. And so I walk in, and I'm so anxious to do it right that I just see a pillow, a meditation pillow, and I grab it and I sit down. And I see the brothers, all the monks on one side. I see them on both. I think it doesn't matter. I just sit, and I'm sitting. And as everyone's walking in, I start to hear giggles, little hee hee hee. And I'm looking across at the sisters, and they are all this big, probably not that big, literally 80 pounds. And they're sitting on little tiny cushions. And they're looking at me, and they're going, hee 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 hee. And I'm going like, oh, this must be like a hello. So I'm going hee hee back, and now we're hee hee at each other, and I'm going like, this is ridiculous. Like they just keep getting back, and in walks the procession, and they get to the front, and they sit down, and then one of the elder nuns comes in, and she's somewhat, she is not hee at all, and she's going like this. And I'm not, no hee here. I'm sure. Uh-oh, not sure what's going on. And she's going like this.
You're on her cushion.
What? She's motioning me. I'm sitting on the men's side. I don't know there's a men's side. I don't know I'm on the men's side. The young nuns are thinking that's a riot because, you're not doing. I'm really Buddha-like at this point. So I've got my paws from that going. I've been given an instruction, get out of that place. And the head monastic goes like this. No, it's okay. You stay right there. Right? This isn't a problem. You're not breaking a rule. This isn't any big deal. You just stay right where you are. How beautiful is that? You get to be just like you are. And that was a teaching for me. You just get to be how you are. You're sitting on the wrong cushion on the wrong day on the wrong side, and it's all fine. Why? Because the heart, right? The heart's in the right place, isn't it? And he could feel it even way up there, even though she was following a rule, right? And we have to be careful, don't we?
Yeah, I was actually with you, Diana, and I remember the two of us looked like Lucy and Ethel because we made such a big deal trying to move everything and gather up our stuff.
Organize.
Box, and we had our water, and we had, and I remember we were invited to sit back down after we were making a commotion too.
Yes, right? The beauty of that, like you get to rest in the seat you've taken. In the seat you've
Right.
taken, you get to rest there. That's right. Thank you.
Diana?
Yes.
Hi, I can't get my video to work, but I did want to
be part of it. Um, I've done a number of things with Ty since like the mid 80s. And I have so many memories, but one was similar to what happened to you. We were up in Malibu. I had my son with me. He was probably 8 years old at that time. And I didn't know about the kids thing. And we were all walking in nature. It's in some beautiful park. And Ty wanted to hold all the kids' hands. So he held my son's hand. So I was with my son. So I was next to him on the other side. And then we had to go up in these benches in the middle of nowhere. And so I was just following. And then eventually when I sat down, I realized I was on the stage with all the kids and everyone else was at the benches in the bottom. And Ty was just totally like, I looked at Ty like, am I doing something wrong? And he was like, you're great, just stay where you are, and so encompassing. And so I was remembering that. And then when I wrote about self-compassion, what he emulated and taught the whole time that I really resonated with was how when you held yourself like a baby in your arms. If you were in pain, you let yourself feel your pain like you were a child, and you would touch the face of the baby, and you would it was the first inkling, because people weren't speaking about self-compassion, and that piece was like, oh my gosh, with tenderness, how you treated yourself with tenderness, not with judgment, not with whatever, all the stuff that we know.
That's right.
I just wanted to share those two things.
Thank you. Thank you. I remember, Leslie, I was struck by this as well as you were. I was struck by the image of that infant being held, that precious child being held,
Right.
as he was talking about anger.
Right.
And I was blown away. Like, you're talking about anger as this precious baby that requires just nurturing and holding, right? And embracing. Right. And the idea, of course, of embracing and loving a precious child wasn't foreign to me at all. But the idea of doing that with anger blew me out. I was like, wow. Like, I don't even know if I have that capacity. I don't even know if I have that ability to relate to my own anger, my own rage, right? My own reactivity, my own judgments, as if it too were a precious child. And so I remember that as well. And it was profound for me. I could feel it in some way that was like, even that? Like, wow. Right. And so I was, like you, very much moved, really in some interesting way, truly transformed by that understanding. And as we're all saying, it doesn't mean we're getting it right all the time. That's not even the point. The point is that we feel the possibility, isn't it? That you go, wait a minute, there is a way then possibly to hold this without just continuing the papancha, we call it, the propagation of hatred, of reactivity, judgment, that we can put it down and be tender and smile with that. We have a few minutes. Why don't we sit together in that for a few minutes? Is there anyone else? I thought I heard something come off. I want to make sure we get a few minutes just to sit. I hope we're okay. Thank you for all those beautiful shares. It feels like, well, of course he is. Ty in all his goodness. Hopefully reminding us, right, of ours. And so let's sit together for a moment, just resting in that smile, that felt sense, that those beautiful, real experiences of presence and happiness, is sense of peace. That peace with every breath and joy in every step. And may we gather that peace, that happiness, that ease. And may these practices help us embody it so that it spreads wherever we go, with every breath and every step. Embracing then the whole of the world. And then we smile. As we remember our goodness and the goodness of all beings. And its continuation. May we all be happy. May we all be free from inner and outer harm. May we all have ease. And may we use THI as an example of our own capacities for compassion, for joy, for peace in every step. And may our practice today continue and be of benefit. So be it. Thank you so much for those fabulous shares. It makes me smile just to remember. And
Do we have pictures of that up anywhere? 'Cause I wasn't involved.
I don't know, we certainly do.
We do
I
have
don't see on
pictures.
the
We
website.
definitely,
I think they're on the website.
we definitely took pictures. In
Yeah.
fact, I remember that Lou was there at least once or more and took a bunch of pictures. And so I would actually, if you would, Cindy, would you ask Lou? Because I actually remember Lou taking pictures of us up there. I know we have pictures of the straw bale
Right.
project, but I'm thinking of the pictures of the walk. And I believe that Lou was there, and I believe that Lou took some pictures, and those would be just amazing.
Remember which year it was? Because I think I have some too. But 2000 and
Does anybody remember the year?
11
Because we're gonna go back and see if we can't find some
11 or
pictures.
12, I think.
something like that, 2011, 2012.
I think
It
so.
was definitely before his stroke.
before the stroke
Oh,
in
yeah.
2014.
Right,
And it was a little while before the stroke.
yeah,
So I'm going to say 11 or 12.
yeah.
Could anybody who might have been there or have pictures take a look? I would love to get a hold of those. I would actually like to blow one up. I think that'd be amazing.
I'd love to see that.
You would love to see them. It's actually quite, it's in the photo
Yeah.
as well. That feeling is there.
Right.
It's actually that amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
I
great.
would, that would be great. That'd be like a real gift for us, wouldn't it? Yeah, everybody take a look. I'll go through my archives as well. I believe I left my phone at home on purpose at that time, so I'm not sure, but I do remember that there were some pictures being taken. So check around, see what you can a full way those precious moments. That would be lovely.
Just a little wowed by all the shares. I feel like I was there. You know, this
You
is
really,
for
that's
me.
the point.
I mean, just-
That is the point. It really, and at the time, of course, it's just a moment, right? And you walk away with it and you know there's something precious in it. It's at times like these that it's important to recollect them, isn't it? It's important. to
Diana, I
recollect them.
really
So
want to believe, I want to believe it's even before that.
before 2011,
It feels like it feels a lot before that even, because that's only 10 years ago. And it seems like it was a lot longer than that.
I know it wouldn't have been before 2009.
No, it
Yeah,
could be.
yeah.
Because we were not a community since 2010 or something in there. So I'm going to say it's going to be 10, 11, probably
Yeah. Yeah.
in there.
February 2010, because I think I was still in
We were
Palomar.
still
Okay,
at First
so-
Street, weren't we?
We
Yeah,
were,
still there.
yes. Oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely.
First Street Farm Grill.
First Street Bar and Grill. My favorite song to hang out.
With the garbage
Yes.
can,
And streets.
with the
A
garbage
lot of
truck.
practice, there. I don't know if I can share most of the practice, but there was a lot of practice there.
Oh, we
Yes.
went
All
for a
right,
big
everyone,
ride.
be well today. Blessings. Thank you all for being here and for this gorgeous share. We're going to put this recording up for sure. Pete was sad he couldn't be here to join in this because he was a part of that as well. So, all right, everyone, have a beautiful day. See you soon. Bye, everyone. All right, there we go. I